Okay, and we are live. So, hello everyone. We are waiting on Derek from Pure Hangout to come back in. He was in, but there was issues with his sound and he couldn't hear us. Who knows why? I can see he's trying to come back in now. Derek, if you're watching, if you can hear, I've got you on screen as like a little square, but with a line through it, and I don't get the option to add you to the stream when it comes up like that. I've had that with other people. I don't know if are you working through, is it Chrome, Matt?
Yeah, open it up in Chrome. Seems to work best in Chrome.
Yeah, so anyway, so hopefully Derek will be able to get on, because I wanted to do a live random ranking with him, which I've been talking about for some time. But there we go. Fingers crossed he will make his way into it. So obviously Matt's here. We're just doing, well, the three of us today. Not for any reason. Obviously, me and Matt haven't gone live for a little while, have we, Matt? It's been a few weeks because we had this massive falling out. It was all over this film that Matt liked and I didn't like, and it came to heads, and and I said, you don't like it, so I don't want nothing to do with you anymore. It was like that, but no, it wasn't really. It's just a case of Matt's been very busy, I've been very busy, weekends, things going on, and
taking a break.
Yeah, and also I did feel a little bit burnt out on doing the live streams. I have to apologise to Trevor and Bumper, Double Bill Movies and Bumper's Movies, because they were due to be coming on a couple of weeks ago, but I couldn't do it. So I had to put a plug on that one. So I will have them back on at some point. We'll rectify that. But there we go. So what have you been up to, Matt? What's been going on in the world of Matthew's movies?
Not a huge amount, to be honest. I did quite a few videos that I've got scheduled for later in the year. But yeah, a bit like yourself, I've just been quite busy with sort of stuff outside of YouTube, and it's actually been quite nice to sort of take a break from things, not feel like you need to think about the next video or so yeah, I've actually it's been quite refreshing, and I think you do need to do that from time to time. I think we can get quite on a sort of treadmill of things, and I think occasionally you need to take a step away and just give yourself some time.
Absolutely. As you know, I'm away for 10 days, although no one will ever be aware of that. The channel will carry on as normal, as per normal. Yes, and no one will even know that I've gone. But I will be, and I will be taking a break from it. I've built stuff up for it, for that break. But there we go. So I just want to compliment you on your English just then, because you actually used the word schedule, and it does wind me up when people say schedule.
Schedule. You
use schedule. Schedule's the British terminology. The English and the Americans say schedule. The Canadians say schedule as well, but we say schedule. But whenever I hear schedule, it just winds me up. But there we go. So have you seen anything lately?
I've been watching a few sort of streaming films on various platforms. Been watching a few things on Amazon. Watched quite a good film last night on Netflix called Run. I don't know if you've seen that one.
No, I haven't seen that.
It's like a psychological thriller. I'd recommend that. It's worth watching.
All right, cool. That's good.
Off to see The Flash next week. Going to go and see that on opening day. Really
nice.
Most anticipated film for me, that one.
Good.
obviously we're going into the summer blockbuster season now. Guess with Transformers. I saw your review of that this morning, the new Transformers film. And yeah, it sounds like it's kind of a return to Michael Bay sort of format, which was a bit hit and miss. I didn't mind them, but the last film wasn't the greatest, was it?
Yeah, without saying too much, I won't give away any plot points or anything like that. It felt like It felt like, you know, you had Bumblebee, which sort of was fresh, was smaller scale story, and then we've just got this new one, Rise of the Beasts. And don't get me wrong, it's nice to see the Maximals, the Beast ones. So a bit of a different aesthetic in that sense, but the human element was lacking. These characters in it were not engaging whatsoever. So, okay, Michael Bay's ones, you know, I mean, okay, I like the first Transformers film. I never really had an issue with the second one.
I don't mind it.
Fallen Kingdom. Transformers. Rise of the Fallen. Was it
Revenge of the Fallen? No, that was the third one.
No, the third one was Dark of the Moon.
Yeah, Revenge of the Fallen.
Yeah, Revenge of the Fallen, I didn't mind. I
was impressed that they actually went to the pyramids. And actually...
Okay.
Hello.
Oh, bloody hell, I can hear him.
Okay. I don't know what was going on with that other laptop. That one's actually been working better for me, and for some reason it wouldn't pick up your audio, I guess, or it wouldn't let me hear it, and it wouldn't let me back in afterwards. So I don't know, all sorts of technical issues.
Well, I'm glad that you've made it in. It's great that we can hear you. It's fantastic catching up again. You know, having the opportunity, we haven't caught up yet, but having the opportunity to catch up.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Obviously, last time we was on, you just had the moustache, and now you got the beard to go with it.
Yep. Although it's getting a lot warmer, so I think I'll be shaving this off pretty soon.
Yes, time for it to go. Yes, we were just.
I'll be interested to see what you look like with nothing.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't done that. I haven't done that in years.
I do have a photo of me with a moustache.
Oh yeah.
We have quite a big, thick moustache as well. It wasn't that I had one. It's just that I grew a beard. It was during the lockdown period. I let it grow out quite often, but this time it was particularly big. When I shaved it off, obviously I shaved it and just left. I had different stages. I took it down at different stages. So I left myself with a goatee. I left myself with one that comes down like that, just that. Then I left myself with just a standard moustache, and then I left myself for a little while with just the little Hitler. The little Hitler moustache. Not that I went out with it. Just,
or the plan.
Yeah, just for the wife to come home. We got this little Hitlery thing going on. Well, there we go.
Charlie Chaplin. That'd be more politically correct, wouldn't it?
But we were just talking about Transformers. Because obviously I'd done a review for Rise of the Beasts.
I still have to watch that review.
Found it to be somewhat underwhelming. And I was saying that I don't know, it was lacking. And, you know, as bad as some of the Michael Bay ones were, the action was great. It looked great. The money was on the screen. And in this one, it just seemed very subpar. Even the action scenes weren't as flamboyant, wasn't as, you know, as Michael Bay would do. Unfortunately, but there we go.
Who directed this one?
Sorry?
Was it a name at all? I didn't even catch who directed this one. Was it a name? Somebody we would know? Or is it like somebody they're kind of farming right now to turn into a big director?
I think this is, someone they're farming. I've got no idea who he is. I'll be honest. I did look at his name. I'm trying to look for but I was that so underwhelmed with the film anyway that couldn't even be bothered to press on his IMDb and have a look at, oh, what's this guy done? Let me have a look now. Well, see,
And I think
go on.
so I think what worked really well, and I think why Bumblebee did really well, was Hayley Atwell in it. And I think her relationship with Bumblebee, there was a real kind of,
You mean
yeah,
Haley Steinfeld?
it was a good.
Steinfeld.
Oh, sorry, what did I say?
Haley Atwell's Captain America's.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there was that real sort of relationship between the two characters, and I think that's why that was really good, you know, and it felt very different to the Michael Bay ones, but it worked. Like you're saying, if they've got sort of unknown actors in it which aren't necessarily brought anything to it, then yeah, I can see it being.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who the guy is in it. Although fair enough, the director actually directed Creed 2.
Okay.
Oh, that's who directed this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't
That's
know that.
interesting.
Stephen Capel Jr. Before that, he'd only really directed. Well, he directed something in 2016, TV series episodes, shorts, and the music video. And he directed 2022. Directed one episode of Transformers Earthspark, the animated movie, the animated episode, which obviously made him fantastic for Transformers. The new film. But there we go. What can we do? Let me just bring up some comments. No, let's talk to Derek a bit because we ain't spoken. So, how's things going on your channel, Derek? I haven't watched your Guardians video for today, where you said it was a ruined. So it sounds like something went on in the cinema.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and tell you.
Go on then.
So, what happened didn't necessarily ruin the movie, but it happened before the movie. So I was sort of like an angry attitude when starting off the film. Like my mind wasn't, okay, I'm here to watch this movie. It was what I'm going to tell this manager when the movie is over. But yeah, they just, you have ushers clean in between shows. And I think because Guardians of the Galaxy is about to be kicked out of the theater, all the new movies are coming out. So I think they're paying less attention to those theaters. And my spot, which was, I think there weren't a lot of people there. There were people there, but not a lot. I was able to reserve my seating early. So I did pick the best seat in the house, but that means other people had been sitting there earlier in the day. This was the third showing of the day. And it was just, when I walked in, it was littered in popcorn. My spot had a big bucket of popcorn in the seat, sort of spilled all over. And then like cups of soda there. And I was like, I can't sit here, but I also have to sit here because we have that reserved seating system now, which I don't like. I prefer that you get there as early as you can and then you fight it out for the best seat. But I was like, well, I could move, and if somebody says I reserve this seat, move for them. But I was like, I don't know, this is also a matter of principle. So I went out looking for an usher, and I was pacing back and forth. I didn't see anybody. So they're clearly understaffed, or they're in the back smoking. I don't know. And so I see somebody finally come out of a closet, and then I ask them, or I don't ask them. I was like, hey, theater 2 needs cleaned. There's a big mess there right in the spot I've reserved. And they're like, okay. So I go back expecting them to come back, and they never did come back. So then I went out looking for somebody again, and we have cops here that are at the theaters on the weekends, just because things get kind of rowdy on the weekend, and people, break, not break in, what do you call that? Sneak into movies. So,
thing, is it?
Yeah. So I went to the far end of the theater. I couldn't find anybody, and then I just grabbed a broom and dustpan that I found at the other end, and I just start dragging it to the other side of the theater, which is where my auditorium is. And this cop, he's looking at me, he's eyeing me, seeing I'm not in uniform, and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, do they have ushers that work here? He's like, well, I think so, but this is my first time at this place, so I don't know what's going on. I was like, well, a weekend you would think there would be ushers. And I was like, I just grabbed these, I'm gonna go clean it myself. And he's like, okay, you're fine. So he just let me go do this. He didn't try and help at all. I know his job isn't that, but it was still kind of funny. So yeah, I just went in, and by that point other people had gotten into the theater, and I'm just cleaning the theater. And I was an usher back in 2004, so I'm over here cleaning, and I'm in civilian clothing, and I'm thinking, what are these people thinking about this? Do they think I'm off duty? What do they? I don't know. It was just a very strange situation. I was very angry because nobody ever came in to check. So I was completely ignored. It wasn't like, oh, there was a delay, something else came up. It was completely, fully ignored. So I don't know. I'll probably call them because I feel like I need compensation, free popcorn, or a free movie or something.
It sounds to me you had plenty of free popcorn all over the floor.
Yeah.
How busy was it though? How busy was the screen in the end?
That one alone, I'd say there was probably 15 people in there, 15, 20.
And how many seats? So you could have moved.
Yeah, I could have moved, but it was the best seat. I'm always aiming for the best seat.
Obviously, it wasn't the best seat because it was covered in mess.
In terms of sound, and visuals, best seat. But it was a matter of principle by that point.
Okay, so I'll still watch your video just to give you an extra view on it. And a thumbs up.
Thanks. That's just me. I'd be saying the exact same thing. But then I do finally get into the review of Guardians.
I'll skip through the story of what of the goings on. Okay, so a bit later, Derek, I want to do a live random ranking because obviously you do your random rankings on your channel. Anyone who's watching who doesn't know Derek's channel, where he pulls 3 films from behind him, and we just discusses them and ranks them. And I want to do that with you. But it may have to be one where you have to keep pulling until such time that we've seen all the films
right
between us. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But let me get in some comments just because there are some. And Jesse's in. Jesse Aston. Hi, Jesse. How you keeping, mate? Now, Jesse did message me with regards to this. So I'll put up the next comment. What's the issue with Disney editing and cutting their content? I understand new stuff, but leave the old material alone. Is Disney Plus worth it? Why do they want to destroy art? Now, funnily enough, it wasn't just Jesse that had sent me a message of this ilk. Dan from Dan's Man Cave had actually messaged me probably within half an hour of me seeing this message as well. So is there stuff going on with Disney beyond what I know, beyond what I've discussed and done a video out before? Is there new murmurings on Disney? Deleting stuff and editing stuff down? The French Connection. Jesse mentioned The French Connection being a film that's now heavily edited. I'm assuming he means on a streaming site. I don't know if French Connect is it. I don't know what company has French Connections. I don't know if that would be on Disney.
I'm wondering if it's Fox.
And apparently the physical media version of it is actually selling out now.
Yeah.
People are have you heard that then, Derek?
Yeah, and it's going like right now, if you want to buy the French Connection on eBay, you're gonna be paying $100 or more.
Wow.
And that happened overnight. Like I have it on DVD because it's a Best Picture winner, Oscar Best Picture winner, Oscars.
Yeah.
And so I do have the DVD. I don't have the Blu-ray, so I don't have the best quality out there right now. But yeah, it's sold out on eBay or sorry, Amazon. Can't get it. And then, yeah, last time I looked on eBay, the lowest price I could find was 76, but then shipping, bumped it up.
So talk to me about it, because you obviously know something about this. This has come to me. I haven't done no research into this because it was literally half an hour ago or so that I read this comment and said to Jesse, I'll bring it up in the live stream that I'm on. Obviously, Fox rings a bell. Obviously, Fox is now Disney, so we're looking at Disney as the instigators here of something. So what's going on?
20th Century Fox.
It is okay. So I've mostly read headlines and tweets about it. So I haven't read full articles about what's going on, but it sounds like some offensive language was taken out of the film on streaming, and maybe future physical media releases may also have that cut. But at least right now on streaming, I think it's available maybe on 2 or 3 places, and it's edited down with that language taken out. I don't know specifically what the words are.
No,
I don't know if it's I would assume it's racial language, because that's kind of the point, is the cop is a bad cop, bad police officer, and he's kind of it's an anti-hero era where he's a cop. He has this larger thing that he's working on, but at the same time he does a lot of dirty work in the streets to get his to get the big picture taken care of. So, but that's kind of the point of him, is that he's not a perfect man. He's not a good man. So they're kind of chipping away at the purpose of the story. It's not just a flippant line here. It's his character to not say good things. But again, I shouldn't say that is what is taken out. That's just my assumption.
Yeah, no, and you're probably correct. The French Connection is not a film that I've seen in a long time. It's not even a film I've got on physical media, so I cannot recall. I'd have been a kid when I last saw that, so I can't recall anything in it. But what you're saying sounds to be true. Well, to me, sounds like that would make sense, because so we're talking about the Gene Hackman character here, who's for want of a better term, the hero of the story,
right?
And so you've got these opposing. You got these two opposing principles. Then, in a sense, in that we've got a film where we've got our main protagonist of the film, but at the same time he's using racial slurs, etc., which. And someone's looked at these two opposing forces and said, "This doesn't work. We've got to take this part of that character away to make him more of an appeal, or to make him, that's what they've done." Then it sounds like
that from what I've gathered from headlines and tweets here and there on Twitter. That's kind of. It sounds like that's where we're at, but yeah, I'm not sure the specific parts. It's been a few years since I've watched it as well. And I've probably only seen it maybe three or four times. But yeah, that's my guess at what's going on, because it seems like with Disney's history, that is what they try and edit out. It's interesting because sometimes they make a point not to, like the animated films. They'll always have like a little, like a black screen with some text on it that says we're trying to preserve what we've done. We understand that some of the stuff that we included back in the 40s or 30s, whenever, is offensive, but we want to maintain the integrity of art. Like if you watch Lady and the Tramp, we always see that before we watch Lady and the Tramp. I'm sure it's in front of Peter Pan, probably Aladdin, stuff like that. But so it's interesting that there's some cases where they're like, we gotta keep the art as it was, but just notify people ahead of time what they're in for. And other times when they're like, we got to change this, like Splash. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Daryl Hannah, the the bum scene.
Yeah, and right. And I think, though, I heard this. I haven't gone to check that they've gone back to the original edit. So I need to check to see if that's how it is now.
Oh, so they reversed their decision.
Yeah, I think on Splash they did. I think you can see her butt again.
Thank God for that.
Right.
So obviously here I know we're talking about, in general here, we're talking about one film. We're talking about French Connection, right? And obviously we've named a couple of other films where they've done this, but it's not so much the fact that it's the film, it's the practice of what they're doing. It's the practice of doing this, of editing, of essentially revising history, revisionist history in a sense, which I'm dead against. I hate that. And it also sounds to me like what you said, if Disney are trying to preserve some other things, like they're putting us, and I don't see why they can't do that in front of everything, right, and just leave it alone. But it seems to me like there's a criteria that we're allowed to have and that we're not allowed to have. In the case of French Connection, and I know we're only assuming that it's the racial connotations and language within the film, which makes sense, like I said, without knowing the facts. It kind of sounds correct that it would be that. But then when you're talking about something like Peter Pan, you mentioned Peter Pan. I can't really remember Lady and the Tramp too well and what it would be within that. I'm wondering if there's someone who's a maid who's black, possibly.
No, racial stereotypes with the cats in Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah.
I think it's like the aunt. The aunt comes over with her cats, Siamese cats, and then
yeah. That's
yeah.
Right. And Peter Pan would be the way that Native Americans are portrayed on the island. I was going to say Indians, Red Indians.
Native Americans.
Yes, Native American individuals, because
Indigenous Americans, I guess. I think
the way that they're portrayed by, because even the kids, I think they dress up and start wiring, don't they, in Peter Pan, if I'm correct?
Yeah. So they have, not only the way the Indigenous are portrayed, but also kind of how the kids, the Lost Boys, sing about them, and they use slurs in the song as well. So, but again, that's left in there, and then there's a card at the beginning that says,
But that's left in there now.
Yeah.
Jump forward 5 years, 10 years, when sensibilities have become even more
sensitive.
Yes, you now see that these things are taken bigger and broader than what they actually are now, and then they're ultimately altered or removed or something of that ilk.
Yeah, I mean, that one could go the way of Song of the South eventually, like knowing what, the climate is like now, if you were to watch Peter Pan, a lot of it is like, oh, wow, I'm surprised that this is allowed on a streaming service, even with the warning. So, it could be something that they just completely erase, like Song of the South, like they've done with that.
So what's your take on this, Matt? So I know that we've been talking and you've been pretty quiet. I'm aware of that. Sorry.
That's fine. No, I'm just listening. No, I mean, I totally agree. I think, okay, put a warning up at the start. But, let's not be changing history, because we learn from history. We learn, how things were. Let's don't start rewriting things, because it's just giving a false viewpoint of what was before. And how do you learn? If you don't know where you come from, how do you learn? How do you progress? It just seems crazy. And just on the broader view, this thing of Disney, I mean, what message are Disney sending out to their subscribers that actually they're sort of removing content? And they need to be adding content, because me as a subscriber, I'm going to think, well, why should I subscribe to you if you're taking content away I've not had a chance to watch? and within 6 months you're just getting rid of it, and it's like, well, what am I paying for?
Yeah, that's a bad
It's sending
reputation
out
to
the wrong
build.
message. Again?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that's a bad reputation to build, because you're right. Somebody who's on the fence, might be like, well, that stuff's not always there anymore, so I may just not jump in.
No, that's right.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think it's discussed in practice. I think, the fact that physical media itself is on the decline. I mean, I think I've just read in Australia. I don't know if it's all over Australia, but their CEX, which is a trading store that we have here, Derek, where you can buy secondhand stuff and trade stuff in, aren't accepting DVD anymore.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, I just read a little blurb on Facebook about it. The fact that people are running out and buying the French Connection because they've heard about this. I mean, you got to wonder. I mean, how many of them are actually scalpers as well, going out and potentially they see this going up and then they go and run out and grab it for the resale purpose as well. But and this is why. We've had this discussion all the time. Physical media is important. It is important because I don't want, regardless of whether Disney are even removing it or not, the editing of it in itself is an abysmal practice. To, it's horrid. It's abhorrent. Art is, you wouldn't take I don't know, you wouldn't take the Mona Lisa and alter her smile, would you? You wouldn't take the Venus de Milo that depicts someone who's handicapped or crippled and put arms on her, would you? She's not crippled or handicapped. That's just a little a little woke non-woke joke there. But do you know what I mean? You wouldn't take and the practice of taking books and editing books like what they're doing with some of the Bond books and things like this. It's just, it winds me up. It does wind me up. And it's just, it's moving into every element of society, everything. Nothing is sacred. Nothing can't, when do they start on things like Shakespeare and Chaucer and the Canterbury Tales and things like this?
Yeah.
And this,
Sorry?
Oh, well, I was thinking, I think the very first time I heard conversations like this was with Star Wars, and George Lucas going back in and editing his own stuff, and that's his own work. And it was still kind of like, what are you doing? This is what you handed to us. This is what we love, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal if the original cuts were easily available. And, for a long time, they weren't easily available. So that was kind of the argument there. Like, it's like, okay, sure, you can toy with your own creation however you want, but
oh, Derek's gone.
Sorry about that. At least have what what you originally gave us available. That's going to happen every once in a while. That's why I try not to use this laptop, but for some reason, I don't know, the good laptop wasn't working, so this one's going to freeze up every probably 5 minutes or so.
So that's fair enough. So Matt, is French Connection a film that you've got, and would hearing this news make you go out and find it?
I mean, no, it isn't a film that I own. Again, very much like yourself, I have vague memories of it, watching it probably with my dad or something like, back in many, many years ago. It's not a film that I've necessarily would go out and grab. But yeah, I don't like the fact that they're going in and changing something that I could go on Disney Plus and watch. But actually, I'm not getting the version that was, brought to us back in the 70s when it came out. So yeah, I don't agree with it. I think a warning, okay, if it's got offensive material within it, which might upset some people. A lot of people can kind of take these things and ride with it, and look at it and think, okay, yeah, it's not socially acceptable in today's society, but we've gone through a period of time and we've learned from this, but we can still recognize it. But it's not, if you're going to take offense to it, really, you shouldn't really watch it in the first place.
Mhm.
Just
thing is,
don't watch it. If it's going to offend you that much, just don't watch it.
the thing is, offence to this stuff, I can guarantee you, isn't offending the people that you think that it would offend. It's probably not offending anyone. It's probably a case of you've got a minority of loud individuals who on this sort of power trip, who think that this is offensive to other people, and thusly we should edit it for that reason. But the individuals who
like it almost seems like the studio maybe is just taking a precaution to okay, before anyone gets offended, we'll cut this out so that it won't happen later. But and they do it. We got a lot of film savvy people in the community. They're going to spot it. They're going to notice it. And then it's like, wait a second, what are you doing? And they maybe thought, we'll get away with this. Nobody's going to notice. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're trying to preempt something, that in itself is, I can understand in a new film. We're making a new film. Okay, so we've got to avoid this, and this. We don't really want to bring that aspect into the movie. I get that entirely. That's preempting something. But to look at something and say, hold on a minute, this is potentially, someone's going to potentially moan about this film that's 40 years old. Let's cut it before anyone does send in a moany email.
Mm-hmm.
That in itself again is abysmal bad practice, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you can take it to the extreme and go to like children learning about history, medieval times when people had their heads chopped off and hanged and all sorts of terrible things that went on. But we're not going to edit all of that out because it might offend or hurt somebody's feelings. It's part of history. You've got to learn from what's gone in the past to move forward. This is what I'm saying. But like you say, I think, like you say, it's a small minority of people that feel that, we must change things. We don't want to upset anybody. Just put a warning at the start, and people know up front this may have content that you won't, you don't like. So you can either turn off now or be prepared to possibly be offended by it. But a lot of people probably wouldn't be because they just accept it and think, okay, well, this is what happened in the past, but we're not like this anymore. And it's a retrospective look at things. It's not like this is how it is,
No, that's right.
My take on it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing. But anyway, let's see who's about. So Luke from Luke's Films Unboxings. Hi AJ and Matt. Hi Luke, how are you doing? If no one subscribed to Derek, then obviously go over and subscribe. Got a great channel. Like I said, we'll do a little bit of
no pressure,
he'll pull some films in a bit. Timmy McKay, Scotty.
Oh,
hi, Scott, how you doing?
Scott.
Thanks for the ideas. Here we go. Look, I knew it was going to happen. Matt can do better solo. Where's that?
Well, I'm next week. Yeah, I'm next week solo. Or I've got a couple of guests on.
Yes, because I'm busy. Stephen Luther from Sacramento.
Hi, Stephen.
How are we doing? Who recommends the what's that little fella? Oh, Super Mario Brothers. He recently bought the Super Mario Brothers film. He said it's pretty good.
The animated one that just hit physical media?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. That was fun.
I'm not I have no history with the Super Mario Brothers. I've never played. I mean, I've played Mario Kart a couple of times with the kids when we had a Wii, but I've never been a Mario player. So.
Yeah, me either. And I think the movie still worked for me. My neighbor had a Nintendo, so I would play it occasionally at his house. But I was, those were really expensive. We couldn't afford them. And then when I was a little older, I got a Sega Genesis, so I kind of sort of became a Sonic the Hedgehog guy. So Mario was never really my thing, but I still had a lot of fun with it. It's still hard to gauge. Because that was my kid's first movie, so a lot of what I had fun with was watching them watch a movie, So, but I had a great time that day. So
I get that. Matt, are you interested in Super Mario animated?
No, a bit like yourself, really. I think it was kind of after, when I was growing up, wasn't really there. It was more Space Invaders and PlayStation 1, Tomb Raider, that kind of thing. And I think Mario Brothers sort of came a little bit after that. So yeah, it wasn't really anything I got into, but I'm sure it's a fun film to watch. But yeah, it's not. I wouldn't necessarily pick it up on physical media.
Yeah, no. I mean, as a kid, I think I was more Sega based. So, like Derek, Sonic the Hedgehog was more my type of a thing.
I like Crash Bandicoot, which was on the PlayStation 1. Again, all sort of similar kind of they're platform games, weren't they?
Yeah, I remember that as well. That was pretty good. Gareth said he was hoping for 10 days peace. That's with me going away. I'm on with Gareth. We're doing there's a Punisher watch coming up on the 14th. Might blow out of that one. Punisher Warzone, Ray Stevenson's. Mike's DVD and Blu-ray collection. Hi there, guys.
How's it going?
Video Taste says hi, Mike. Hey, Gareth. Hello, all in the chat except Garrett, old AF reviewer. Yes. Prepare for timeout. P. Ricky. Oceans reviews.
Hey, how's it
how you
going?
doing? Hope you're well, mate. Down under. We were just talking. I don't know. You may have heard about. Have you heard about CEX in Australia? Being that you're in Australia, not taking DVD anymore. I mean, obviously, I know that here they don't want to take DVD, which is why they give you 1 pence per disc because there's no point in trading them in. But down there, apparently, they've stopped. Obviously, CX doesn't exist in the States. Lee, how you doing, mate? Hope you're well. You've just lost AJ, a viewer, Garrett. He should remove your rainbow-coloured spanner. Hey, mate. Afternoon, mate. Dan's Man Cave. Dan's Movie Cave. Sorry, it's a name change, wasn't it? It was Dan's Man Cave and it's Dan's Movie Cave. But I'm so used to it being Dan's Man Cave. People saying hello to one another. Good question. He's a bit of a. I've lost my Disney Plus account. Most of their content now is garbage. I've closed it. Yep. Disney is a woke narrative intent on destroying all the beloved characters that formed a generation of movie lovers. I can't deny that there's any. There's that holds no truth. It does indeed. Oh yeah, the Gina Carano situation. That was unfortunate. I like Gina Carano. I still like Gina Carano. I think she's great. And they obviously removed her from The Mandalorian because of Bip Bob Boop and other stuff. I think it's all nonsense. Yeah, I think it's all nonsense. Hate it. There we go. Same with Lord of the Rings, race swapping all the main characters for no reason. It's a complete tick box exercise. It's to appease. It's to appease. Talking about Disney, I've just ordered up the remaining 3 indicated titles of Little Murders, Dragon Wick, and The Snake Pit, indicators Fox licensing expiring at the end of June, says Dr. Impossible to Counterpunch. Okay. And obviously we had Thingy shut down as well over here, didn't we? Network,
yeah.
which is Derek, that's a distribution. It's a distributor, DVD, a Blu-ray. Did they do Blu-ray or was it just DVD? But they focused a lot on.
I think it was
lot
mainly DVD.
Yeah, a lot of the British TV classics.
Okay.
So they went by the by. Yeah.
Yep. I think that was, from what I've heard, largely because the owner passed away. So I think there was nobody else to kind of take it on, or anyone wanted to take it on, sadly. But
and people deny that there's a problem and things are dwindling. That the format is in decline, because if it wasn't, someone would have snapped it up.
Yep.
So Lee says, when will companies realise we just want entertaining films? All this political nonsense is ruining films now. I totally agree. There is too much to be said in the film than just having a film. A film can't just be there to entertain now. It's got to have a political, for the most part, a political narrative, a political stance, a political message, a something within that. When was the last film? What's the last film that you've seen where you can think, hold on a minute, that was to not use? I don't really want to use the word woke all the time, but a non-woke narrative within the movie. Plane was one
that was a really good. I really enjoyed that film because it was just an action film. There was no hidden agenda or anything like that. It was just, and it was great. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, it harked back to a simpler time.
Yeah,
filmmaking. Have you seen that one, Derek? Plane with Gerard?
No, not yet. That movie just kind of came out unexpectedly for me. I don't remember any marketing beforehand, and then it was released, and then everybody was like, "Wow, this movie's great. This feels like an old-fashioned film that we used to love."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I didn't even hear about this movie. So that's going to be one it is out on physical media now, right?
Yeah.
So that's one I do want to check out, just because it seems like an unexpected hit. Nobody really saw it coming.
No, it was it was just I mean, with a title like Plane, and apparently there is a sequel in the works.
Okay.
Yes.
But not with Gerard Butler.
No.
Oh.
No, it follows the Mike Colter character.
Yeah.
Because in this film, Gerard Butler's teamed with, Luke Cage. And it's his character that the sequel then follows.
Okay.
Which narratively speaking makes far more sense than, and it's set on board a ship.
Yeah.
Apparently. And it's.
Is it going to be called Ship?
Called Ship, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
No, Boat. Is it Boat?
No,
Ship. Boat. Okay.
Ship.
Plane. Oh, it's Ship. I thought it was Boat.
Ship.
Well, either works.
Train.
They'll have train after
they
that.
Should do that.
It was Gerard. It was actually Gerard Butler who made them change the name of to Plane. It was called something else, and he said, "No, just call it Plane. I want it to just be called Plane." And so they called it Plane, and thusly, then you're going to have Ship. But there we go.
It's like a 3-year-old just learning words.
And then we are going to work our way through. Yeah, like you said, there'll be train.
Yeah.
There'll be car.
Yeah.
And there'll be motorbike. We'll work our way down to tricycle.
Tricycle.
No, I highly recommend it. Really, good time. Just fun.
It was
very, very 90s.
Yeah,
just
and there was nothing in it that really,
No.
Mike Colter was really good in it. I've got to say, he was. So I'm quite happy to see him spin off into a sequel.
So, I just watched Guardians last night. I didn't feel like there was anything like that in that movie, and I actually thought there was sort of like maybe a stand against it a little bit in that movie.
Yeah.
Just with the gold character,
Adam
Adam
Warlock.
Warlock. Yeah. To me, so I'll try my best not to spoil it. And I guess I mentioned this a little in my review, but I was seeing as that character, I was wondering if James Gunn was sort of using Adam Warlock as a stand-in for himself, sort of, because if that his character gets that second chance, that he doesn't necessarily deserve. And I just saw like James Gunn there. Remember when James Gunn, he had those tweets and everything that he did 10, 12 years ago. People dug him up and they're like, look at this. Look at what he said all those years ago. Well, this is, some gross stuff here. But he's, from the Trauma company. So it's all about, being as offensive as you can. That is the context of the joke, you know. And but they fired him and then they eventually brought him back, gave him that second chance. So I was kind of looking at Adam Warlock as, I wonder if that's what Gunn was going for. Like, everybody deserves that second chance.
Yeah. I don't think Adam Warlock ever nonced kids in Marvel Comics. No, I'm joking. I just had to say that. No, I agree. I mean, James Gunn's, I agree with you, 100%. I mean, I'm glad that James Gunn came back, that they brought him back for that. I mean,
they do pick and choose who they bring back.
This is it. I mean, I will say some of his I can't remember exactly what his remarks were, but they were a bit sort of, I wouldn't say them.
Oh, no. Yeah. But when you understand the context of he's coming from the Trauma company, you understand. I guess you know that the point is to be as disgusting and offensive as possible. There's no like real malicious intent there. It's just let me be as gross and terrible as possible for the laugh that you get from uncomfortability, I guess. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. No, I totally understand. Matt's not seen Guardians yet, have you, Matt?
No, not yet. No.
It's good. But anyway, so Dan says to Lee, too much of this swapping races and genders, just create a new character, I'd say. And that's totally my take on it.
Very much like Miles Morales, the Spider-Man character. Great character, but
and sort of becoming the face of Spider-Man. He's so successful. Like, my kids will probably know him more than Peter, maybe.
No, I mean, when Brian Michael Bendis created the Ultimate Spider-Man back in the early 2000s, and Dan probably knows this, actually. He'd probably remember Marvel set about creating this new universe, like pocket universe called the Ultimate Universe, which was essentially to garner new readers. And it took the X-Men, it took Spider-Man, and it started them over again, but today, essentially. And it was Peter Parker for a long time in it, up until a point where they decided to kill Peter Parker off and replace him with Miles Morales. This new Spider-Man came about. And again, Brian Michael Bendis, the writer, who's a fantastic comic book writer. He has written things like Daredevil and things like this. I followed, not so much now, but I followed his career and read a lot of what he'd done. Avengers he went on to for a long time. He was that good a writer. And he just, this character was just fantastic. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It was a different character completely. But it's like whenever they say, let's do there was all that talk about Superman and making Superman black and all that sort of a thing. I'm thinking, you've got the character of Steel in the Superman universe, which, all right, I know they've done the Shaquille O'Neal movie, which had no links to Superman whatsoever. And I know recently the character of Steel has been utilised within the Superman and Lois TV show, but he doesn't look nothing like his comic book counterpart. You know, there's a solid character there that's still kicking around within DC since 93, 94 when he came about. Do something with him, because although I think he's probably too Iron Man-esque now. But he's a good character that they created, a character of color, and they want to just change stuff all the time. But Lee's right here. He says a new character doesn't guarantee an audience or fan base. They also lack any creativity, so it's easier just to rate. Yeah, it is difficult to create a new character that does. For every Miles Morales that you get within Marvel Comics, there's probably 20, 30, 50 characters that have not done anything that they've created, that just don't ignite any spark within anyone whatsoever. So to race swap a character does ensure an audience, and it ensures also, well, you know what they say, there's no negative press. You know, people kicking off about the race swapping of a character is good advertising for a movie, essentially, because it people are talking about it. It drums up discussion, and it puts it in the forefront of people's minds, positive or negative.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. But Dan says, Popeye Doyle, who's the character played by Gene Hackman in French Connection, his dialogue is of importance to the character and personality, gives the viewer more context, makes his actions more believable.
Yeah.
He's a character of his time, you know. Don't start changing things that have happened in the past, you know.
Yeah. And again, that's like,
yeah.
And it is like the point of it. It's not like that is stuff being said to point a finger maliciously. It's more pointing a finger at him that he is not a good person than it is who he is. He himself is pointing a finger at. So it's like it's actually more. It's a different type of. I don't know. Just it totally ruins the context of the character.
Well, we had that with a sitcom that was done in the 70s and 80s, and you remember this, AJ, In Sickness and in Health, Alf Garnett. Now, he was a very racist character, but the actual point of the whole show was actually sending that character up and showing how ridiculous he was.
Yeah.
But if you showed that today, people would say, "Oh, you can't show this. You know, this is totally offensive to it." You know, but it's exactly what you've just said. It's actually the opposite. They're trying to do the opposite, or they tried to do the opposite in the past. But now it would be totally misinterpreted as the other way around.
Yeah, it's the same as what I said about the young ones. When you've got the policeman, you got the policeman having to go at a geezer, ringing a doorbell. And this policeman's wearing black sunglasses. The geezer ringing the doorbell has got black gloves on, and you don't see the police person. You know, you see it from the policeman. He sees the hand, and he's like, "Oh, that's white man's electricity you're burning," and all this sort of stuff. And this tirade of calling him the N-word and all this, but it's not an attack on that minority of individuals in society. It's actually, it's basically saying this is endemic within the police. This is something that exists within the police force. This sort of institutionalized racism. I don't think that wouldn't have been a term back then. But the irony is that when you watch that now and you realise that nothing's actually changed within the Metropolitan Police Force now, or very little has changed.
There was a damning report recently, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's very much the same. But let's liven things up. We're at an hour mark, and an hour mark means that Derek can do a random ranking for us. So let's get rid of these comments.
Sounds good.
So what Derek's got to do, anyone who's watching who doesn't know Derek's channel, His bread and butter essentially is his random rankings. So, take it away. Just explain to us what it is for anyone who's uninitiated, who doesn't know what you do. And what we'll do is you could do your polls, and then we can discuss the movies. Hopefully, they're movies that we've seen.
Yeah, we may take a couple polls because that's part of the thing with random
Yes.
rankings. I got to make sure I've seen them all, and I've gone back there and tried to separate all the movies that I have seen versus haven't seen, just so I don't have to waste time doing that anymore. But I always find one that I missed. But yeah, basically what a random ranking is I go to my movie collection behind me and then pick out 3 movies at random, and then rank those movies based on whatever criteria sort of bubbles up from.
Oh, we've lost him.
Perfect timing, right? Perfect timing.
Oh, no, there we go.
Perfect timing. So yeah, whatever criteria, the criteria is kind of based off the movies themselves. Sometimes, when you look at them, you may start thinking about the actors, you may start thinking about the directors or genre, even like how much I prefer this genre versus another genre. So yeah, based off of whatever criteria pops up, and then that's kind of how it happens. And then I rank them in the video, and then typically I have people rank them in the comments as well, so that we can talk about movies in the comment section.
Okay, so just to iterate, it might take a couple of polls. That's what I say to my missus. So I'm going to get you Derek, I'm going to allow you to start pulling them off.
Okay.
While I go and I need to get some headache tablets and top up on a drink.
Do you want me to wait?
No, you can start.
You carry on.
Oh, okay.
Start to pull them out, and I'll be a sec.
All right, so I have no clue what I'm pulling. I'm just reaching back here, grabbing whatever my finger lands on. All right. I know I've seen. Okay. I'm guessing you've seen 2, maybe 3. Actually, the third one, the one I'm questioning is one that I haven't seen since I was in college, so it's been a long time for myself. So if you haven't seen it, that'll be welcome, because it's been a long time for me. So okay. I want to check with this one first. Has everybody seen Out Cold? It's a comedy about ski slope. Okay, we'll get rid of that one.
Now, obviously, when you usually do this doesn't happen. It's whatever you pull, but we could have a discussion about it because there's going to be loads.
All right. How about Wonderland? It's about the porn star with the biggest something. Nobody's seen that one?
It ain't going well.
Johnny Wad from the 1970s. Okay. Val Kilmer plays him.
Third time lucky. Oh, yeah.
You seen that one? Okay.
Yep.
So we got one.
And then here's the other one I pulled. Spider-Man Far From Home. The one with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
We're good. And then the next one was X-Men First Class.
There we go.
We're good?
We're good.
So these are our movies right here.
So you do your thing.
How do we rank them?
Well,
go
on.
Okay. Let's start with Last Samurai. Tom Cruise. So, AJ, for you, I know you were not into young Tom Cruise. You sort of avoided his films, right? Actively avoided them.
That's right.
But at this point, maybe you were watching his movies, or is he still young Tom Cruise here?
Yeah. No, because he's sporting more of a Kurt Russell hairstyle. It's like acceptable.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah,
it makes me like just sort of like remember the days when I had hair like that.
My hair is quickly approaching yours. Every day, I see it more and more. I see my scalp more and more.
Scalp.
But yeah, so it's been a while since I've watched this, but basically, if I remember correctly, like the Japanese army brings in and they hire Tom Cruise to sort of turn them into like a westernized military, right? So sort of leaving behind samurai way for the Western style of military, because they've seen that strength and they want to sort of follow that. And he's sort of in there trying to bring those methods to their military. And but at the same time, while that's happening, he sort of gains a respect for the samurai, and sort of, I think eventually gets to a point to where he's, sad to see that go, that's on its last leg, and soon to not exist anymore. But yeah, I remember liking this movie a lot. I used to put it in quite a bit as a background movie, but to sit and actually pay attention to it, it's been many years, over 10 years since I've watched.
Oh, frozen.
There we go. Am I back?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I remember liking this movie a lot. How about you?
Matt?
Yes, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Actually shows kind of like a bit of a transition to his character, because he starts off very much as a military man, and obviously as he goes through, he almost becomes more akin to samurai ways, and he's almost adopting that lifestyle. He actually likes that lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah, it has a very sort of Dancing with Wolves feel to it. I got from it. Probably not as good as that film, but yeah, along the same lines, definitely. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Now, for me, it's been I've seen the film once when it came out, so a lot of it is a distant memory for me, because it is that era of Tom Cruise that yeah, I wasn't really into Tom Cruise then, but I did watch this one. I was going to mention that the Dances with Wolves type of that the outsider comes into a different, essentially, society, he starts to learn their ways as well while teaching them his. Am I right in thinking there's a love interest in it?
Yes, yeah. I do remember that. And looks like we can see that there on the back.
Yeah, and does he? You have to remind me, because it's been so long. I don't know if I'm confusing with Dances with Wolves and films like that. But is there a battle towards the end, and he is on their side of the battle rather than his side of the battle?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's it's very
very tropey.
Yes, yeah, a lot of films like that.
Yeah, very common.
But no, I remember enjoying it.
Yeah, you just kind of know where everything's going. If you've seen enough movies anyway.
Yes.
Read enough books, heard enough stories, you kind of know it all.
Yes, that's right. So let's move on to your next one. What's your next pick?
Far From Home. So for me, these Spider-Man movies, I think maybe it's, partially that I'm older, but the ones that I like are the Tobey Maguire ones. Those are the ones I started with. Those are the ones I connected to the most. I was at an age to where I was extremely excited for them. And now, at this point, this is our third Spider-Man, and my interest level is dropped a little bit. I do like the first one from this now trilogy, but this one to me is the weaker of the three. It's the one I'm the least excited about, but it does have some pretty important events that lead to things that are happening in the larger MCU. So it is an important film in terms of the whole story. But when I think about this movie on its own, it's lesser for me. How do you guys feel?
Go on, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, much like yourself, obviously Tobey Maguire was the first, Spider-Man sort of live action film version that we had. I mean, I can remember the Spider-Man TV series in the 70s, growing up with that. Yeah, I mean, I think out of the three actors, I agree with AJ on this one. Andrew Garfield is probably the better actor of the three. Certainly, I thought his performance in both those amazing Spider-Man films was fantastic. I actually quite like Spider-Man 2, which I know a lot of people don't like, but I thought his performance in that was fantastic. But yeah, this one, I mean, I like the idea what they did with the character of Mysterio and with the drones and all that kind of thing. And I thought that was quite clever because they could have gone, I suppose, with the comic book character, which I'm not 100% familiar with. I'm sure you know more than me, AJ. But yeah, I quite like the modern take on it and the way that they utilise that. So yeah, I mean, I think the first film was probably the best one, but yeah, I didn't mind this one. I thought it was quite a good film.
Me, oh. See now, I would say that's probably the easiest watch of the three for me, of that trilogy of Spider-Man films. And I'm going to say something here that's a very hot take, and people are probably, no one would agree with whatsoever, and that is that I struggle with the film that comes after that.
Oh, really?
I struggle with No Way Home. I tried watching it the other day, and I switched it off.
Wow.
And because I find it to be, very forced in what it does. There's elements to the story that make no sense to me whatsoever. The scene where Dr. Octopus just suddenly appears. I know that this thing is open and they've appeared, but it just reeks of being forced in. It just reeks of seeing the three Spider-Men together. Don't get me wrong, that was fantastic. It was. I can't take away from that. But I think that people see that before they see the film, and they're just it's got elements in it, like, and I'm talking about a different film here, elements in it, just to say, is that none of them get into MIT, but Flash Thompson gets into MIT. Yet Flash Thompson, none of them have got into MIT because they're all friends with Spider-Man, but yet Flash Thompson has published a book about how he is Spider-Man's best friend.
Ah.
Yeah, he gets into MIT. Do you see what I mean? There's elements to the story that just, I don't know. It just, it didn't. And also, what I weren't happy with is coming off the back of this one, is you had this big reveal that Spider-Man's identity is now out there in the open, and it wasn't. It wasn't examined really. It was, and this is one of the things I hate about Marvel, is they give you an end credit scene that purportedly sets up something, and then it's just dealt with. It's just dealt with straight away, and this film deals with it straight away. There's no real major repercussions of that happening, and then obviously he then goes and says, Doctor Strange, I want everyone to forget. And Doctor Strange is made to look like a complete moron in this scene, which I didn't agree with. And then all the stuff with his little friend Ned being able to have these magical powers, that he could operate the coat and the sling ring, it just felt so forced. So for me, this Spider-Man film I find far easier to watch. I think the humor in it's better. I think Mysterio was a great character. I like the fact that it's world, it hops the world into different locations. The Night Monkey stuff I thought was very funny. And not to knock Homecoming either. I just think Homecoming, because it's more origin-y in a sense, although he's got the powers, but it's the new suit and getting used to the new suit and all this sort of thing. This film here, it just works for me better.
Mm-hmm. I do like that this actor does feel like a high school student, where the other two did not, to me. I remember with Andrew Garfield, before hand anyway, before he was hired, that was like, they want to go younger. Tobey Maguire was getting older. Then they hired Andrew Garfield, and I was like, he's the same age as me, and I feel, like an old man at this point.
Yeah.
Not truly, but I was like, at a point where it was like, you didn't actually go younger, you went a little younger, but you didn't go high school. So I do like that about Holland, is that he does have the appearance. I don't know how old he is. He might be an older guy. Kind of might have that Michael J. Foxness to him, but I like that he at least looks like a high school student in my eyes. Where the
He
other
was quite young when he started filming it.
Yeah,
I think that's the other issue with it. I have is that I'm bored of him. Tom Holland as an actor.
Oh,
he's bored me now. He's no different in any. He's got no range. He is the same in everything he does. I've seen nothing different from the guy. So whenever I watch him now, I find him quite a boring actor.
Is he? What's that movie he's in? Was it called Uncharted?
Yeah.
Not seen that yet. I've got it.
Was he kind of that way in that movie too? Was he
essentially? Yeah, he was Peter Parkerish. I had no issue with. I quite enjoyed Uncharted as a film. I've never played the game, just to say. I can't do a film to game comparison. But all I know is I watched the film and I had fun with it. But again, he was. I avoided the film for a while because it was him, and he was. It just comes across as the same person he is in these films.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
So I just tired of him quickly.
Yeah.
And there we go.
And then X-Men First Class. So this was sort of like I don't know, maybe what a reboot actually is, right? Because it's like it's a sequel, but it's also a restart.
Oh, time for a break. There you go.
Sorry. So yeah, it's a sequel, but it's also, or a prequel, I guess we should say. It's a prequel, but it's also restarting everything with like a new cast. Everything feels very, very fresh, even though it's a part of those original X-Men movies that sort of started all of this. If you don't give it to Blade, people give it to X-Men. And personally, I like this. I could say I'm biased towards X-Men because I do love them. Those movies that franchise is my favorite superhero franchise, but I also recognize that they make some terrible, awful movies. And I don't feel like this one is that way. The continuity is completely messed up, but that's stuff with the X-Men franchise you just sort of have to ignore, or you will not have a good time because you'll just be nitpicking that the entire time. I don't like the way Beast was handled. He's my favorite character, but I don't like the way he was handled in this. But the movie itself, I really like Fassbender and McAvoy. I like seeing them in scenes together. That Charles Eric relationship has just always been one of my favorites on screen. And this was, I think, maybe when we first saw Jennifer Lawrence outside of maybe Winter's Bone. I think she made Winter's Bone, and then this is sort of when she became, a blockbuster name, because Hunger Games hadn't even happened yet. But I really like this movie. I like seeing them sort of form the team, even if it's not the team, the original team from the comics. It is a different telling, and I'm usually okay with that because these are movies. These aren't the comics.
Cool. So, Matt.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it very much sort of, it was almost had a sort of a prequel feel about it. Obviously, this one was set in the 60s, and I think they captured the sort of time period quite well. I know the start of the movie actually was in the 1940s as what's the character's name?
Magneto.
Eric. Yeah, obviously it shows him in the concentration camp, and I thought that was done very well. And I agree with you. The relationship between him and Charles Xavier how they, they started off very much as friends, and obviously as time went on, events, etc., they grew apart. Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was obviously the third film of the original X-Men, dealing with the Dark Phoenix character. It didn't work, and I think, yeah, they kind of just hit the reset button, but they did it in a way that was almost like a younger versions of those characters. So it wasn't sort of like just let's just rinse and repeat. It was trying to add something more, a backbone to the characters we'd already seen in the first three films.
Right. Yeah.
So for me, I love this film. I think it's great. As soon as they announced it was set in the 60s, which is obviously the era from where the comic book started itself. You've got, outfits that are based very much on, I think it was the Astonishing X-Men comic run at the time. Was that Grant Morrison? I'm not sure. I may have the names wrong, but with the yellows and that, they embraced more of the comic aesthetic into this film. You had powerhouse actors like Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart cast as these two characters that you probably thought recasting is stupid. Who are you going to get? And then you land on Fassbender, who's a fantastic actor, and McAvoy, a fantastic actor as well. And not only that, this film, Kevin Bacon is in the film.
Yeah.
For that, Kevin Bacon's fantastic, and
Love
the film is obviously set. Well, the latter part of the film is set to the backdrop of the Cuban Missile Crisis. So it sort of steps into a true historical event and places the X-Men within that, within that them goings on. The whole scene where Magneto pulls that submarine out of the ocean looks fantastic. And if I'm not mistaken, Michael Ironside is the captain, is a military. Is he the submarine commander in this? I'm sure Michael Ironside is in this film in a very small role. And obviously then you had characters like Emma Frost, although she was ultimately wasted in the film, which was unfortunate, because Emma Frost is a good character. She can go up against, in the comics, she can actually go up against Professor X one-on-one with powers, in a sense, mind powers and that. But yeah, so for me, it's a solid movie. Regardless of what went on around it, the other films, Days of Future Past is good. But what I'm saying is, and the time jumps in almost a decade in places between. But this on its own is a solid movie.
Yeah, and I like what you mentioned about the missile crisis. I think that was a smart move, a cool thing that they did, because that's already something that's happening with X-Men, with the Holocaust and everything that went on with Eric. So it's already grounded in historical events, and then to continue that, I think, is a cool echo of what we already have with Eric.
So how would you rank these then?
Me?
Yeah.
I think I would. No, not that. Wait, is this backwards? How are you looking at this? Are you looking at this as third?
No, X-Men is in your first spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's weird. It's like reversed on my screen.
I know.
So I think I would do this. I would go X-Men First Class, number one. I really do enjoy that movie. It has high rewatchability for me. Then Last Samurai, even though it is highly a trope movie that we're all very familiar with, I did always like it when I watched it. And then Spider-Man Far From Home, can never remember those titles. I don't know, I'd put that one a third. It's probably the one that I've seen the least out of these. I think I've only seen it the one time, so maybe some of that is me needing a rewatch. But like superficially, when I think of the three Spider-Man films, I think of this one last. I really like Michael Keaton in the first one, and the effects of the first Avengers film and how that trickles down to the common man, the laborers and things like that, and how that affected their lives. And then I think of the third one, seeing the three Spider-Men. Yeah, there are a lot of problems with that movie, but seeing the three Spider-Man was very cool, And then this one, it kind of gets pushed back because of the other two.
Fair enough. Matt, how would you rank the three? And how? Why?
I think I would put The Last Samurai actually in first place, just because I do love these epic films. It's something that you almost feel like you're going on a journey with the character. And I really do like those films. So I'd put that in number one. Number two, I'd agree, X-Men First Class. Just because, it was done so well. It's based in the 60s. Like you say, it's got the real sort of real events sort of elements to it, and just the characters, setting up the characters, their relationships, etc. And then the final one, obviously, Far From Home. Entertaining film. I did enjoy it, but probably not my favourite of the three Spider-Man films of Tom Holland.
So for me, and it's a bit of a torn one. Okay, obviously I've not seen Last Samurai for so long that unfortunately I'm going to have to bump that to last place. But that's basically because I haven't seen it for as long as what I have. However, I'm not going to deny the fact that Last Samurai probably stands head and feet above the others with costume design, with epic feel and all this sort of a thing. I'd probably put X-Men First Class in first place over Spider-Man, and obviously Spider-Man 4 second. And that's probably because of my boredom with Tom Holland as an actor more than anything else. But there's enough in the film to take me away from Tom Holland. There's enough other characters and things going on. But so that's how I'd go. But I'd need to, if I watched Last Samurai now, and it was a lot fresher, certainly could be a change up on that list.
I like that we all have different rankings there.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
We did. There we go. Now we can fight about it. No, that was great. That was good. And thanks for doing that. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
So if you like that sort of a thing, that's what Derek does on his channel often. Pulls films out and does a ranking based on whatever criteria. But obviously, when you normally do it, it brings out, because you're doing it alone and not with other people there, and this time you're very much talking about the films. Sometimes it brings out all these personal memories that you go into and things like that, which is great.
It's very nostalgia based. I just have a really great memory. Maybe the movie's not that good, but I have a fantastic memory of growing up, seeing that movie with a friend or something, and that's enough sometimes. The experience rather than the movie itself.
No, that's right. Let me just shoot through some of these comments, because obviously we've only got half hour left. So, and we've been talking a lot. I don't know if we'll get to the end of the comments. I will apologise to anyone whose comments we do happen to miss. But I am off out at about 4:15. So Joshua Gaming says hi. This is Dan replying to Lee. I do agree, Lee. A new character is a risk. It's all about money. Lack of creativity now I find in Hollywood. And that's why Hollywood sticks to the sequel and the remake over anything else, because there's a guaranteed audience to that. Sign of times when it all changes again, which it will, they will change it all back again. Just leave things alone. Tom and Jerry, with the lady that owned Thomas, is considered racist now. Was she a black lady who owned Thomas? I think the voice wasn't it?
I don't know whether you ever saw her. You just heard her.
Yeah, I know, but you just saw her from the legs like the wrinkled stockings and a broom hitting the cat about, didn't you? Luke says, have you heard that Clint Eastwood is making a new movie?
Oh, wow.
No. What was his last one?
Was it The Mule?
Something Macho, weren't it? Cry Macho or something?
Oh, yeah. Cry Macho?
Yeah, I think that was his last film.
And he just celebrated, is he 93 or something like that?
Yep,
Yeah.
93. I was just looking that up. Yeah, 93.
Wow.
Cry Macho is...
good for him.
It wasn't a great... It was all right. It wasn't great. Not something I'd give a rewatch to. At least when I look at my collection, it makes me happy. Proper action movies, nothing filtered or altered. Proper movies that aren't afraid to push the boundaries. Mainly movies like Predator. Manly movies, sorry, like Predator. Yeah, you can't make Predator now. There's not that much testosterone in the world anymore. Could you imagine trying to make that? You wouldn't be allowed to make that now. That would be deemed offensive. It would be deemed offensive.
Do we even have a slate of stars that could do that? Like even The Rock, sure, he looks massive, but he's very much got like a softness to him, you know, because he's so like kind and like a salesman, you know.
Yeah,
he's always telling us something.
No, this is right. Most actors today, I've said this, is, you know, when you look at your big, there's no real action stars left. Like Tom Cruise, I know he's doing the Mission Impossibles and things, but when you think of like your Stallone, your Schwarzeneggers, all that, you've got no real replacements for them, right? Sure, okay, Marvel get these actors and they bulk them out big. You know, Chris Hemsworth looked fantastic. Chris Evans looked fantastic. Guardians geezer, when he was topless, looked fantastic. Do you know what I mean? But these are all individuals that could then play a character that is completely in touch with their feminine side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I think about our two top action stars, I think of people in their 60s. I think of now Tom Cruise and Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, because they're from an era that's a bygone era. They're like the last remnants.
But also doing the best work.
yeah, ultimately.
I will say with Stallone, though, I mean, yes, he's a fantastic action star, but he's a clever guy as well. I mean, he's a very good director. He's directed some great films down the years.
And writer.
And writer as well, yeah. I mean, he's known obviously for his action films and very much Arnie. I would say probably out of the two, Arnie's probably the greatest action hero I think we've ever had. But Stallone, you know, he's matched him a lot of the way through, but far more his directing and writing. I don't think Schwarzenegger's ever directed, has he? To my knowledge,
I don't believe so. I think for me, if I had to choose one over the other, it'd probably be Stallone. I think Stallone is superior in acting and but I think Arnie's got that edge on being more commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's got
the ultimate action hero, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, but if I was forced to pick out of the two, let's not look at what they've done before. If someone said to me, right now, you've got to retire Stallone or Schwarzenegger, who do you retire and who do you keep going on? I say Schwarzenegger retire.
Same.
I want to see Stallone go on. But do you know what I mean? That's not. If I was looking at their past films, because I couldn't knock out the Terminator. I couldn't knock that off of a list. I couldn't knock Predator off of a list. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But from here now, if you want to see one of them continue and the other one take a back seat, who? Stallone continue, Arnie back seat.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because of his age, because I think Arnie can't do the stuff that he used to do. You know, with the best one in the world. I mean, I haven't seen this new series that he's doing. What actually is that? Fubar or something it's called?
Fubar.
What is that?
It means Fubar means effed up beyond all recognition.
Okay.
I think it's a term coined by the military.
Yeah.
Right. So what is he playing? What kind of role is he playing?
Okay, think True Lies.
Okay.
He's a spy. He's a spy whose family doesn't know that he's a spy, or he works for the CIA. He's a spy, and he's about to retire from it all, only then to get called back in and find out that actually his daughter is actually works for the CIA as well, and she never knew that he did, and now they're teamed up.
Yeah. I will say though, one film that did surprise me that Schwarzenegger was in was Maggie. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
That was very, very different in that, and actually all credit to him. I thought he did a really good job in that film. Very different. So too. Yeah.
Very slow moving movie, but I feel like I'd never seen him do anything like that before. And it's like he, can he act or can he action star? And here it was like, oh, maybe he can act.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not all charisma.
So take. Why not do a few more like that? Show that he's got the range to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, as he's getting older now, he can't come back and do Predator again. I wouldn't want to see him come back and do Predator again either, because I just feel, that film for me is probably one of the best Schwarzenegger films. And Terminator and Terminator 2, they're just fantastic.
So I am aware that I'm well behind on comments because this is 2:30. This comment, and we're at 3:30.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm an hour behind. Sorry. That's because we've done a random ranking. Was talking. Exactly. Movies are an escape from the normality of life. You might as well watch the news instead. Dr. Impossible says, I don't see any of this changing for the foreseeable future. It's out with the old order of things and in with the new. Every old order franchise has been crushed. But going back to this stuff with French Connection, just quickly, a thought that came to me, right, is that obviously the older people will know. We know, or we care. Younger people don't. They couldn't care less, right? They haven't got the attention span. And sorry if you're young, but I'm generalising here. They haven't got the attention span to sit through a film enough. And like Dan said, these are important parts of this character's character traits that they would miss it anyway because they're on their damn phones.
Mm-hmm.
Films aren't written like that anymore for people. And this stuff, when they alter this stuff out, you do get, and I guarantee you that they're looking at it like this. The company's looking like this. You're going to have a period of moan. You're going to have a period of pain, a period of people getting out of their whatever you want to call it, prams, moaning about this stuff. But then it will settle because those people get older. Those people eventually die off, and all that's left is the young people that have come up with this stuff anyway, who don't care. And it's the norm for them.
But at the same time, you're right. They don't care. The short attention span. So why even edit it? They're not going back and watching the French Connection.
Well, this is true in itself. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's quite sad, isn't it? Let's hope that older movies do. But the thing is even sort of old black and white films from when we were young and our parents probably watched those films. Have we watched those? Are they going to just get lost in time as we die off and younger generations? I don't know.
If anything, there are a lot of times just a one and done. You may watch it because it's a classic to see it, to say that you've seen it, to know it, and then you're not going back with a lot of them anyway.
No, it's true. How many people had parents that would say, or your father would say, I don't like these new films. In the 80s, I don't like these new films, but it was better back in my day. And now I'm the one who's saying, I don't like these new films. It was better back in my day, but in the 80s. And then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's true, we become our parents.
But it's true, films today are written to take into account people have no no, they have no attention span. Films have to throw you into action at the get-go. They can't have character. They you know, and character is ejected from films over action. Yeah, we ain't got time for that character growth. We want an action scene in there. We want something action to happen. So people are not sat in that cinema chair getting bored because they don't have the attention span to follow character. There we go. The film is going to be called Juror Number 2. I'm guessing this is Clint Eastwood's new film. Dan says, I'm very much looking forward to Clint's new film. The guy is an absolute legend, unrivaled career for longevity, in my opinion. I can't deny that. He is. Although the worry is that he dropped dead halfway through.
Yeah.
I've just pressed on a button. I don't know where I am. There we are. Definitely a legend. Love Clint. The Changeling is an amazing movie. I'm not saying that.
Angelina Jolie, I think.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, I don't know that one. I'll have to look that one up. How much money have Disney got to pee it up the wall before they realise they are in some serious financial bother?
I'm wondering that too.
Sorry?
I'm wondering that too.
Yeah, I've not had any interest in anything Disney put out for a long time. Wonder how Disney will sort out the problems with cutting out scenes from movies. Well, they're doing a decent job with it, I think. Ricky, Disney, I feel, will have to treat. I'm sorry, my reading has. I've lost my. Ricky, Disney, I feel, will have to tread carefully. Only so much money they can throw at projects, and eventually the old school movie fans will unsubscribe and tune out of their efforts. Dr. Impossible says, heard yesterday that Network's warehouse stock has been sold to Spirit Entertainment. Spirit is a distributor, so they may just sell what's left on a new Network website. Restoration, unlikely. Only have to look at there from posters in China, removing and covering up black characters, then preaching to us about racism. That's true, Disney, yeah. Chinese don't like black people in films, do they? There's racism, if ever you saw it. Film posters, I meant. Dr. Possible, I hope movies Network have or would have had are released under another label, as the art of British cinema needs to life and get boutique treatment. Indy 5 is going to bomb hard. They're belittling the character to make way for the young female character. I'll be honest, I can't say anything about Indy 5 at this juncture. I need to see it first.
I think the trailers look good. I know it got a lukewarm response at Cannes Film Festival, but I actually think it looks good.
For me, I'm one. Indy 5 is trash. Nobody wants to watch Jones being spoken down to and made to look stupid. I need to see the film. I've seen the trailer, obviously, a trailer, but I need to see the film to make any assessment of the movie.
I've been wrong about trailers before.
Yeah, I can't do it without seeing the film. I do believe on giving every film a chance in that sense. Am I interested for a new indie film? Yes. Is my expectation level low? Yes. But I need to see. I don't like buying into a rhetoric that you know. I need to come to my own conclusion. Yeah. Ultimately, before anything else.
You've got to give it a chance, just to make up your own mind. Yeah.
I think that's the fairest way. Indiana Jones has lost it. It's a product of for us when we were younger, and trying to recapture that magic is nigh on impossible. And that's the primary concern.
Should have just left it as a trilogy.
Yeah. Dan said he wanted Chris Pratt to play Indy, but I'm sure many did. Would have been the only believable outcome for me, for the great Harrison Ford to pass the torch to him.
I would have loved that too. My hope was for this movie that he had another child with what's her name, Willie from Temple of Doom, that he didn't know about. And it'd be funny because I don't think she knew his name was Henry, so it would be funny if she named that son Indiana. So he would have a son named Henry and a son named Indiana. But I think that would have been cool if Chris Pratt would have been Willie's kid that he had with her and then passed the torch. I would have liked to have seen that myself. I like Chris Pratt.
What would you have thought about a non-passing of the torch, but just the new actor, Chris Pratt, playing Indiana Jones in some new adventures set sort of back in that that would fit his age?
I think he could probably pull that off, but I'm not sure. I think I would want maybe someone who could act a little bit more like Harrison Ford, maybe someone we know less, because Chris Pratt is such a star. He's kind of Chris Pratt, right? And Harrison Ford is Harrison Ford. So I think I would maybe need somebody I don't know as well to sort of fill those shoes rather than just be a star taking over for a star.
Do you think do you both think the character is beyond recasting?
Maybe.
I think so. Yeah, I think he's been with us for so long. And for me, I don't really want this passing of the torch to somebody else. I just want some finality to it, because then it's captured in time and you grow to love that. And, great. If you want a female-led Indiana Jones type character, create something new. A totally different person, a different, different story. They did it with Tomb Raider, Lara Croft. Obviously that was a game, but everyone loves Lara Croft, and it was. I just do not understand why Hollywood. And it's like you say, it's the safe option. Let's pass the torch because we know that Indiana Jones is a money spinner. So if we put that label on it, it'll work with whoever we cast in it going forward. But it's not always the case. People don't want that. They want something new, fresh.
Yeah, I don't believe the character's beyond recasting. Simply because there has been quite a few actors to actually play the role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
River Phoenix, a younger version. I forget who was it who played him. The main one who played him in the Young Indiana Jones TV series. I forget his name.
River Phoenix.
No, that was in the film, in the TV show.
I thought he was in the TV show River Phoenix. Was he not?
No.
Oh, I thought he did the first series of that.
No, he didn't. River Phoenix had nothing to do. His name's eluding me. I'm having a look now. I've got to look. Sorry, because I know him from other stuff as well. Young Indiana. Come on, my bloody IMDb ain't even working. Can't remember his name. Not coming up. Stupid phone. Depends on licensing the group. But Thingy, they said Han Solo was beyond recasting, and I thought Thingy done a fine job.
Yeah, true.
Alden Ehrenreich, whatever his name is. I thought
it just wasn't a major success, I guess you can cast somebody else, but will it click,
That was more the timing, wasn't it? It was on the back of The Last Jedi.
True.
The backlash of that. If they'd have left that a few years, when you watch that film now, it's a good film. Yeah, it's not amazing, but it's I would have thought it would have bombed at the box office. The only reason it bombed was because people had just had enough. Thought, I've had enough of Star Wars now.
Yeah, Sean Patrick Flannery was the guy I'm talking about in the TV show of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. If other actors have played the character, then there's no reason why they couldn't do another film
or
series
with mini series.
Yeah.
The thing is,
Disney,
Disney could
do that, couldn't they? They could do a mini series.
I mean, when you know, there's a lot of characters out there that you think, you know, you can't recast. I think, like I said, I think Star Wars done fine with Thingy. I think that's quite an underrated Star Wars film. And also, you got to remember, you know, when they announced a remake of Star Trek, you know, I was one who was eating humble soup when the film came out, because I said, oh, you could never recapture Bill Shatner, DeForest Kelly, and Leonard Nimoy,
and it worked so well.
and they done fine. They done, you know, an amazing job with it.
Yeah.
So you get the right person, the right people behind this, you know, making it. Why not?
It's a shame because I think the writing let that franchise down. I think the first film was very good, but Into Darkness is essentially a remake of Wrath of Khan.
That was a waste.
It was, and Beyond was just too action based. It was moving too far away. But like you say, the cast very good. If they had the right acting, it could have been quite successful. But
yeah, although Lee has just knocked me back down with this comment. Who can forget robot rights in Solo? Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. The robot, the Lando Calrissian and the robot stuff and all that.
Oh.
Yeah, that all right. Okay, that was a bit.
But that's kind of set up in the original Star Wars. You know, we don't serve their kind. You know.
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
Carlos, how you doing, mate? This is 2:48. So this is an hour ago. This comment. Hope you're well. Hi, AJ, Matt, and Pure Hangout. I agree. Movies these days try to be too complicated with angles and storylines. Just angels. Just entertain moviegoers to keep them coming back.
Yeah.
Michael. Hi, Michael. How you doing? Michael's Movie Corner. Gotta love YouTube not noticing that you're live, even though I have notifications on. It happens. Gerard Butler in skateboard.
Yeah.
Skateboard.
Pointing
things with wheels.
So yeah, Expendables 4. What do you think of that trailer?
It looks like Stallone is taking a back seat and maybe just kind of I don't think he's going to be the lead.
I've got to agree here. It did look, some of the PS4 games, some of what I did see looked shocking, special effects wise, background and crap like that. And with the cast that are in it, a lot of them I was saying, who's that?
Yep.
Who's that? Who's this person? I ain't got a clue. So
I think it looks like I don't know if you know these movies very well, but like Smoking the Bandit 3, Burt Reynolds has a cameo in it. You know, it almost looks like that. Like the people we know are cameos, and then it's all these B actors are taking the rest of it.
I'll make a confession. I've not actually seen any of the Expendable films. Not yet. It surprised me because I do like action film, the action stars, but no, just never seen any of them.
No, I think I prefer. I think my favourite one was the second one.
I think me too.
I think the first one didn't live up to what it promised.
Same.
I was a bit sort of, okay, it's not quite what I was expecting from it. The third one obviously went kiddie friendly, essentially, didn't it? So I think the second one was the best one. I think that was directed by Simon West. The second one was Simon West, wasn't it? Con Air director, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But there we go. I will watch it. Joseph, hi Joseph. Watching Charlie's Angels and Bonanza in the moment and Doctor Who missing episodes has been found. I want Evil of the Daleks and Moo-based adventure. Hope we get new company takeover network. Reading movies. They need to stop these remakes, reimagines and reboots, create new characters and worlds for fresh stories. It would be nice, but
It would.
unfortunately, if you've got a name, an existing IP, you've got guaranteed income. You've got guaranteed money guaranteed in the door, regardless of So it's less of a risk, and that's why.
Then that stifles creativity, doesn't it? So in years to come, well, we're seeing it now. Where's the creativity? Where's the imagination? It's all going because
the younger people don't have imagination anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
The younger generation don't have.
Yeah, go on.
How many people? I've seen it. So many kids are, used to being on their Xboxes, PlayStations, whatever. You take that away from them, and you go and stick them. You go and put them into a park or whatever, or a wooded area, whatever, and they don't know what to do. They're lost. No. They're lost. Whereas as a kid, for me, Christ, you was out daily. You was building camps in woods. You were climbing trees. You were, exploring places and things where you shouldn't be going. Not saying I'm not condoning that. I'm not saying you should do that. But do you know what I'm saying? But nowadays, you take away that stuff and you say, "Here you go, play." But what's that? How do you play? Derek, you got young children, and I'm not saying that everyone's like this, but certainly a lot of children that I see have been. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, and we live in the city in a really busy area, so they don't really have places like that to explore. They have roads to get run over.
Yeah.
So we have to drive out to places to give them something like that. But of course, we are with them. I mean, they're still very young, so obviously we would be.
Yeah, yours are, yeah.
But I do think about that because I had woods and a river behind my subdivision that I grew up in. That I'm kind of amazed looking back that I was back there alone. My parents didn't know where I was. But yeah, my kids probably won't get that opportunity because we live in a much more, we don't live in a rural area.
Yeah.
Although my parents still do, so they can get it at grandma and grandpa's house.
No, it's I don't know. Brendan says, instead of a black Superman, how about a new character who is not Kal-El, but someone else from Krypton who has dark skin? Luckily, I ain't gone that way anyway. But that's what I was saying. Steel, character of Steel is a good character. I'm just popping up some. Joseph said he wants to see Barbie. I'll watch Barbie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love
what the see what it's about. It looks awful. I'll watch it. Love Thy Neighbor was the same. Wouldn't get shown now. It was to show how stupid and bigoted he was.
Yeah, absolutely. Was, yeah.
You try putting out Love Thy Neighbor or Spike Milligan's Q series today. Both series caused controversy for Thames and BBC in the late 1960s and 70s. Just imagine it now. Filth AJ. I think that was when I said about pull one out or pull one off or whatever it was I said. I can't remember my exact terminology.
Take a couple pulls or something.
A couple of pulls, a couple of I don't know. I love And in Sickness and in Health and Love Thy Neighbor, in which the white guy looks the idiot and comes off worse pretty much every time. It's hilarious. The best scene is the shadow boxing. Dan says, Last Samurai #1, Spider-Man 2, X-Men 3. We've only got a minute left. So sorry if I haven't got into all these comments. Mega Mike the Movie Man says, hey, Derek is here. I'm just seeing who's popped in, who I haven't put any comments up about. Walk On Always Believe. Watch you guys. I hope you're all well. Walk On Always Believe says, Matt, a few days ago he watched your Showdown Little Tokyo Steel Edition. Was a huge Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee fan. I had to get one for my collection. Thanks.
A lot of fun, but it's very cheesy, but good fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And he says,
nice steelbook as well.
Yeah, he says, I like discussing touchy subjects, e.g. how having Anne Boleyn portrayed by a black woman, tell me about it, is wrong. It's racist to whites. It's like having a film based on Morgan Freeman's career played by Nick Nolte. Totally. Yeah, why would I don't want to get into the Anne Boleyn thing, but I believe part of it was just to garner, to create trouble, to create exposure, to
Ad revenue.
People, get people clicking the TV on. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Touchy, controversial subjects. All right, we're at the end of the comments there, so I'm going to leave the comments now because obviously I've hit 4 o'clock and I don't do 2 hours. So, Derek, before we go, thanks for coming on. Anyway, it's great having you on again.
Yeah,
taking the time. I really appreciate it because we've been talking about doing that random ranking live one for some time, and
yeah.
fantastic. That's great. But have you got anything coming up other than your random rankings? You got anything that you want to sort of push out there on the channel for people who watch this and maybe want to?
Yeah, I do have. So my I'm going to be on Hard Copy Blues channel on the 19th. He does another. He does something similar. It's like him and a buddy. Both of their names are Vin. They sort of put movies up against each other. Like this movie versus this movie, which one wins? And I'm one of the judges. Which movie is the better movie? This one's based on cover art, though. Cover art from horror films. So that's on the 19th. And then KB Loves Movies. I'll be on his channel doing a segment called The Conversation. It's just kind of an interview sort of thing. And that's on the 21st. So I guess look out for those.
Cool. Brilliant stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Matt, yourself?
Yeah, I think I've got a video coming out tomorrow. Can't remember what it is now. And I think there's probably an unboxing on Monday. And I think I'm continuing my probably tomorrow is my continuing MCU look at my collection. Forget what character it is though, but yeah.
Yeah, no, brilliant. All right, cool. So that's it. We'll leave it there. So obviously, anyone who's not subscribed to Derek at Pure Hangout or Matt even probably are, then go and subscribe and support these channels. And I know next week, Matt, you've got a live lined up. I'm not party to it. I didn't get an invite. No, I'm not. I'm busy, everyone. That's why I'm not about. I'm not about for a few weeks, so I won't be. Yeah, I'm away. So, what have you got lined up? When's your chat next week? If you want to
next Saturday afternoon, and we've got Ian from Ian the Ramblings is going to be my sort of co-host, and special guest is John from Mondo Televic.
Fantastic.
He's coming on.
That'll be a first time. Brilliant. So worth checking out. Okay, everyone, I'm shooting off, and thank you, and thanks to the guests. Obviously, stay around because we have a little chat afterwards, and see you all later.
Thanks for having me on.
Goodbye.